You guys know astronaut Chris Hadfield recently did a fundraiser in Sarnia, Ontario for the hospital there to raise money for MRI machines. The reason this is important and the reason this relates to the Canada Post putting a stop to home delivery in cities over the next 5 years is because Canada Post has been losing $1 billion a year. This was reported on CBC Radio yesterday. CBC Radio yesterday was all over this story, even quoting the head of the union, which organizes the postal workers, as saying that people have a right to home delivery. They're going to make this an emotionally charged issue, folks. But the Canada Post bleeding out, hemorrhaging, losing $1 billion a year, imagine that, a crown corporation in a country which has rationed health care and has to fundraise for life-saving MRI machines. People are going to whine about having to go to a post box 1 or 2 blocks away when hospitals can't even afford MRI machines, life-saving medical equipment, life-extending medical. At the end of the day, nobody's life gets saved, folks. Unless you know Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, your life will not be saved. The death rate on planet Earth is 1 per person. But MRI machines are life-extending, life-improving, as far as your health is concerned, life-improving medical devices, scientific advancement. People are going to whine about having to walk to a post office or walk to a community postal box when hospitals can't even buy MRI machines, and we have to bring in people like Chris Hadfield to do fundraisers at $250 a piece per person. When Canada Post is bleeding out $1 billion. Do you know how many MRI machines you could buy with $1 billion? 1,000. 1,000 MRI machines at $1 million each for $1 billion every year. Are you guys with me on this now? You guys hear what I'm saying here? Let's do the right thing here and stop whining about having to go down to 1 or 2 blocks to a post box to get your mail. And let's put that money where it really matters, where it really counts. Canada has rationed healthcare. It's pathetic, really, that people are whining about having to walk to a post box. Let's get Canada Post back on track here financially. And part of it has to do with restructuring the payroll system. People aren't going to be fired immediately. There will be jobs where people retire from which do not get replaced. They don't rehire after people retire. That's how that's going to work. That's all that's going to happen there. But why is the CBC so concerned about this? Because guess what? The CBC is 100% taxpayer funded, and they have a budget of more than $1 billion a year, and $1 billion of that comes from the taxpayers. So CBC Radio, maybe you're next. Maybe it's time to take that $1 billion a year that we are wasting flushing down the CBC toilet, and that's all it is a liberal propaganda mouthpiece toilet. That's all CBC is. Promoting the child abuse of fish to man evolution. And why don't we take that money and buy some medical equipment for these hospitals and pay doctors more to get more doctors in, so that we don't have to wait for weeks and months for life-extending medical services. The same doctors that Americans can see the same day, we have to wait weeks or months to see a specialist? Are you kidding me? Now, the reason this is an atrocity is because we're spending $1 billion a year on a radio station, and so that people can have their letters, their bills delivered to their mailbox instead of them having to put on a jacket and walk 2 blocks. Canadians have altogether the wrong attitude about this. We need to stop spending money, wasting money on the frivolous stuff. Like having somebody trample a path across your front yard because the entitlement crowd, they want them the bills, their Cogeco cable bill or whatever bill they're getting delivered to their mailbox, so they don't have to get dressed and walk down the street. The entitlement crowd is pathetic. It's the same people that'll whine about having to wait more than 30 minutes at an ER. You guys would come on board with me here and refocus the money away from the garbage like CBC. CBC should be very concerned about this, by the way, because the word gets out that CBC is wasting $1 billion a year on radio when they should be doing like NPR and soliciting donations if they don't want to run commercials. When that word gets out to the general population, because most people I talk to in Canada, when I mention this, they're going, wow, I had no idea. Well, I mean, if your loved one dies of cancer because they can't see a specialist, because there isn't one available, because they're not paying for it, because the government is rationing out the healthcare in Canada, and yet CBC, a radio station, is getting $1 billion a year of your money, $1 billion that could buy 1,000 MRI machines. We could give the medical profession a huge bump in their pay scale if we would just demand that CBC become fiscally responsible and manage its own financial affairs instead of having to gouge the taxpayer every year to the tune of 1,000 MRI machines every year. So well done to the feds for becoming responsible with the postal system. Let's go one step further and let's go after the money that's being wasted on a radio station, CBC. My name is Mike Shoesmith, a caring, concerned citizen of Canada. Thank you for watching.